In the year 2154, humanity had achieved unprecedented advancements in space exploration. Mankind had established colonies on Mars, the Moon, and beyond, yet the search for intelligent extraterrestrial life had remained elusive. The scientific community was divided between hopeful optimism and skeptical doubt about ever receiving a signal from another civilization. Then, on an ordinary day, the impossible happened. Dr. Maria Carter, a leading astrophysicist at the International Space Research Center, was sitting at her desk, analyzing routine deep space radio signals when her screen flickered. A strange pattern emerged, a sequence of pulses that defied all conventional explanations. The frequency was unlike anything Earth had encountered. At first, Maria thought it might be a glitch, but as the signal persisted for several minutes, the truth became undeniable: humanity had just received its first alien message. The signal came from a star system 42 light-years away in the Pegasus constellation. It was an unmistakable communication, well-structured, rhythmic, and deliberate. Maria quickly assembled a team of the best minds in the field, and after hours of decoding, they confirmed it: the message was directed at Earth. An alien race had made contact. As Maria presented the discovery to the world, the initial excitement was palpable. Governments and private organizations scrambled to respond. The message was clear: we are watching. We are coming. The collective reaction was a mixture of awe and fear. On one hand, humanity's long-held dreams of making contact with extraterrestrial life were finally coming true. On the other hand, the ominous tone of the message sent a chill down the spine of every human who heard it. What did "we are coming" mean? Were they allies or enemies? And if they were coming, how could humanity prepare for something so unknown? The global response was swift. World leaders met in secret summits, debating how to handle the situation. Some advocated for immediate communication with the alien race, believing that a peaceful exchange of knowledge could elevate humanity's understanding of the universe. Others, particularly military leaders, feared the worst and began preparing for the possibility of an invasion. While governments scrambled, a group of elite engineers and scientists were tasked with responding to the signal. The plan was to send a message back, a simple response: we are here. But as the clock ticked down, something unexpected happened. The signal, which had been a regular, predictable pulse, suddenly intensified. The frequency increased, the pulses growing more rapid, more erratic. It was as though the alien race was amplifying their transmission, sending a warning, or perhaps a demand. In the quiet of the command center, Maria's heart raced as she watched the data streams flood in. She analyzed the new signal. It was unmistakable: the aliens had changed their message. It was no longer simply a declaration of arrival. Now, there were encoded instructions. And they were not peaceful. "We will take what we need," the new message read. Maria's fingers trembled as she relayed the information to the world leaders. The gravity of the situation had shifted dramatically. The excitement of first contact was now replaced with a chilling fear: the aliens were coming, but they did not seek peace. They sought resources, and they had no interest in negotiation. Global panic set in. For the first time, humanity realized that the universe was not a peaceful place. The optimistic vision of intergalactic cooperation was shattered. The world's governments immediately initiated plans for defense, and humanity's space fleets, still in their infancy, were put on high alert. But despite their efforts, there was little humanity could do to prepare. The alien species, who had perfected the technology to send interstellar communications, were far more advanced than anything Earth could comprehend. The message left no room for doubt: the aliens would arrive soon, and they would take what they wanted, regardless of the cost. At that moment, Maria understood something that no one else had considered. The aliens weren't just sending a warning, they were testing humanity. They wanted to see how Earth would react to this threat. How would a fledgling species, barely capable of defending itself, respond to a superior power? For the first time in human history, humanity faced an existential crisis. In the coming days, the planet would be forced to answer a question that would define its future: how would Earth respond when faced with an alien threat of unimaginable power? As Maria gazed out of the observation window of the space station, she realized that humanity's survival was no longer a question of technology or diplomacy. It would be a question of something much more profound: resilience, ingenuity, and the will to fight for survival. But would humanity be ready for what lay ahead? The clock was ticking, and humanity's answer would soon be put to the test. The days following the alien transmission were chaotic. Governments around the world scrambled to formulate plans. The United Nations convened an emergency meeting, and for the first time in history, it became clear that the planet's survival was tied to cooperation between nations. It wasn't just the fate of a single country that was at stake, it was the fate of humanity as a whole. The global mood shifted from panic to determination. Citizens poured into the streets, demanding answers and preparing for the unknown. The world's media, once filled with reports of scientific breakthroughs and space exploration, now buzzed with analysis and speculation about the aliens' intentions. Military forces mobilized, and cities that had once been in the shadow of peaceful progress now fortified themselves for a possible confrontation. In the midst of this growing tension, Dr. Maria Carter found herself at the center of a global debate. As the scientist who had uncovered the first alien message, she was now a symbol of humanity's hope, but also a reminder of how vulnerable Earth was to the forces beyond the stars. Maria stood before the International Council in Geneva, a room filled with world leaders, military commanders, and the top scientists who had been brought together to address the crisis. As the leader of the team responsible for analyzing the alien signal, Maria felt the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders. "We need to come to a decision," the UN Secretary-General, Javier Torres, said gravely, looking around the room at the assembled leaders. "The aliens are coming, and we have no way of knowing when or how they will arrive. We need a unified response. How do we protect humanity from this threat?" The room was filled with tense murmurs as everyone prepared to discuss their plans. Military commanders pushed for an immediate and aggressive military response. "We cannot wait to see their intentions," General Ivanov from Russia said firmly. "We need to show them we are ready to defend ourselves." Others, especially diplomats and scientists, warned against hasty actions. "We don't know enough about them yet," Maria interjected. "The signal, while concerning, may still hold more information that we haven't decoded. We need to understand them better before we make any moves. Peaceful communication should be our priority." But Maria's voice was drowned out by a louder, more urgent chorus of military leaders. The fear was too great, and the uncertainty of the aliens' intentions clouded any hope of negotiation. With Earth's fate hanging in the balance, the global consensus quickly turned toward preparing for war. Yet, amidst the looming shadow of impending conflict, there was a surprising force that began to stir. People from all walks of life started to speak out, not only advocating for diplomacy, but also insisting on an answer that wasn't rooted in fear. A global movement was born. The message was clear: humanity would not go down without a fight, but it would fight on its own terms, by embracing its strengths as a species, not by cowering before a superior power. It was a fight for survival, yes, but it was also a fight for the spirit of humanity itself. This movement, called the Human Initiative, quickly gained momentum. It consisted of brilliant scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens united by a common cause, to fight back not with raw force, but with ingenuity, determination, and unity. Their message was simple: humanity's answer to the alien threat would be its greatest weapon. Maria Carter found herself at the forefront of this initiative. Her knowledge of the alien signal made her a critical figure in the effort to decode the final message. As the days passed, her team worked tirelessly, sifting through the alien transmission to understand the instructions hidden within. But the closer they got to deciphering the final part of the message, the more unsettling it became. The aliens' instructions were not just practical, they were strategic. They detailed methods for extracting resources from Earth, using technology that appeared to be far beyond humanity's understanding. It was as if they had already mapped out the planet's vital resources and had developed sophisticated methods of harvesting them. The implications were clear: the aliens intended to strip Earth of its most valuable assets. But why? Did they intend to enslave humanity or wipe it out entirely? Or was there something else at play? The team of scientists discovered another chilling detail within the message: the aliens had been monitoring Earth for far longer than anyone had realized. The signal wasn't the first contact. They had been listening to Earth's broadcasts for centuries, studying human behavior, waiting for the right moment to make themselves known. As the rest of the world prepared for conflict, Maria's team worked feverishly to crack the final code. Could the aliens be reasoned with? Could humanity find a way to negotiate a peaceful resolution, or was war their only option? Maria stared at the encrypted symbols on her screen. They were close, so close to finding the answer. But the final piece of the puzzle remained elusive, and every passing moment felt like a countdown to an irreversible outcome. In the heart of the world's uncertainty, one thing was clear: humanity's future would be determined by its response to this alien challenge. And the time for waiting was quickly running out. With tensions mounting, the days dragged on in a blur of political maneuvering, military mobilization, and desperate attempts at communication. As world leaders held endless meetings, humanity's defensive systems began to come online, designed to defend against any potential threats from space. But no one knew what to expect. Every calculation, every strategy, was based on conjecture. Dr. Maria Carter, now a key figure in the global crisis, continued to work day and night, trying to decode the final parts of the alien signal. Every time they thought they were close to understanding, the message would change, or more cryptic instructions would emerge, forcing them to recalibrate their efforts. The alien race was not just technologically advanced, they were methodical, their strategies unfolding piece by piece, as if they were anticipating humanity's every move. Meanwhile, the military powers of Earth, especially the United States, China, and Russia, began positioning their space fleets near key planetary defense systems. The United Nations, which had initially called for unity, was now fractured. Some countries pushed for a full-scale invasion of the alien fleet, while others insisted on waiting to learn more. It was clear that a single wrong move could spell disaster. Then, on the morning of the 19th day after the first alien signal, the unthinkable happened. An explosion rocked the moon. It wasn't a natural event. It was a strike, precise, calculated, and devastating. The blast was visible from Earth with the naked eye, a massive plume of debris reaching into the blackness of space. The news was instantaneous. Earth watched in shock as it realized that the aliens had made their move. It wasn't an attack on Earth directly, but a warning shot. The moon, Earth's closest celestial neighbor, was a symbol of humanity's presence beyond the planet. It was a vital outpost, a research station, and a resource hub. Now, it was a crater. The aliens had delivered their first strike. The world's response was immediate but disorganized. Military leaders pushed for an all-out offensive against the aliens, urging a retaliatory strike on the coordinates of the unknown alien fleet. The UN scrambled to formulate a response, but countries were already taking matters into their own hands. Some launched preemptive strikes using newly developed anti-ship missiles aimed at potential alien vessels they believed were lurking just beyond Earth's orbit. Others called for a halt to all aggression, fearing the escalation could trigger an all-out war. For a brief moment, it seemed as if the world might plunge into chaos, unable to find a common path forward. The moon's destruction was a devastating loss, but it also became a rallying cry for unity. Humanity could no longer afford to be divided. They had to choose a side, either unite against the alien threat or face certain annihilation. As Maria watched the reports pour in, she was struck by a terrible realization. The aliens hadn't just made their first strike, they had provoked humanity intentionally. The moon was not just a target, it was a test. The aliens were testing Earth's resolve. How would humanity react to such an overwhelming loss? In the aftermath, military strategists from across the world began to come together. The destruction of the moon had given them a clear objective: find the alien fleet and destroy it before it could do any more damage. But as the weeks went by, the alien ships never appeared. The skies remained quiet, as if the attackers had simply vanished. For Maria, this quiet was even more unsettling than the initial bombardment. The message, though still incomplete, had indicated that the aliens were strategic, but not reckless. The aliens were not simply out to destroy, they were playing a larger game, and humanity was part of it. And then, just as Maria's hope began to falter, she received a new transmission. It wasn't the signal they had expected. Instead of a direct message from the aliens, it was an encrypted video transmission, seemingly coming from a previously unknown human faction. The video was grainy, the faces distorted, but one thing was clear: these were humans. Yet they didn't look like any group Maria had ever seen. The man in the video, his face obscured by shadows, spoke in a language Maria didn't recognize. But as the message progressed, the dialect began to shift. The man's words were suddenly translated into a language Maria could understand. "We are not what you think. We are humanity's true answer," the man said cryptically. "The aliens are coming to test you, but we will show you how to fight. You will not face them alone." The video cut out abruptly, leaving the entire world in confusion. Who were these mysterious humans, and what did they know about the aliens? And what did they mean by humanity's true answer? Maria couldn't shake the feeling that they were no longer the only players in the game. This new faction, whoever they were, had knowledge about the alien invaders that humanity hadn't even begun to comprehend. As humanity braced for the next move in the war, a new question emerged, one that Maria would have to confront: was humanity truly ready to face the alien threat alone, or was there something more at play, something they had yet to discover? The battle for Earth was far from over, but the stakes were now higher than anyone had ever imagined. And Maria realized that Earth's answer to the alien threat was just beginning. The video transmission had left humanity in a state of confusion and fear. Who were these shadowy humans claiming to have the answer to the alien invasion? The words, "humanity's true answer," echoed in Maria Carter's mind. The message felt like a cryptic warning, but also a glimmer of hope. For days, world governments scrambled to investigate the transmission. Intelligence agencies were put on high alert, trying to trace the origin of the video, but every lead seemed to evaporate. The video had been sent through a network of encrypted channels, nearly impossible to trace, and the faces of the individuals were obscured beyond recognition. No country, no government could claim responsibility for it. But one thing was clear: these individuals knew something critical about the alien race. As global unrest continued, Maria sat in a secure communications room with a team of scientists. They had finally cracked the last part of the alien transmission, a key piece that had eluded them for weeks. The decoded message was chilling. The aliens had arrived not just to harvest resources, but to test humanity's capacity for survival. Their invasion was not a simple conquest, it was part of a larger galactic culling process. Civilizations across the universe were subjected to this test, species that failed were destroyed, while those that demonstrated resilience were allowed to join a greater interstellar alliance. But there was no room for negotiation. The test was coming, and humanity had no choice but to play. Maria stared at the decoded message, her thoughts racing. Was there truly no way to avoid this? Could humanity survive this trial? It seemed that even with all of Earth's combined might, there would be no victory without a radical shift in strategy. Humanity needed more than just military force. They needed to prove something deeper. In that moment, a knock on the door interrupted Maria's thoughts. A senior military advisor entered, a stern look on his face. "Dr. Carter, you need to see this," he said, motioning to the holographic display in the center of the room. The display flickered to life, revealing a transmission from an unknown source. It was another video, this time, with clear, well-lit images. The man who appeared was older, with a graying beard and piercing blue eyes, a figure that seemed both authoritative and battle-worn. "I'm General Alexander Kane," the man began, his voice steady and commanding. "And I represent a coalition of human resistance groups who have fought against the alien invaders in secret. For years, we've been preparing for this day." Maria's breath caught in her chest. "Resistance groups? You've been fighting the aliens already?" "Yes," Kane continued. Before the aliens revealed themselves, we were tracking them in secret. We've been gathering knowledge, technology, and allies to prepare Earth for this moment. You're not alone, Dr. Carter. There's a network of humans who have fought against them across the galaxy, and we've been waiting for Earth to awaken. The shock of his words reverberated throughout the room. A human resistance, hidden from the world's eyes, had been combating the very threat humanity now faced. Kane spoke of battles fought on distant planets, of secret alliances with other alien species who had successfully resisted the invaders. Humanity was not alone in this fight, but Earth had been kept in the dark, isolated from these larger interstellar conflicts. Maria struggled to process what she was hearing. But why didn't we know? Why keep all of this a secret? Kane's gaze hardened. Because you weren't ready. The aliens' test isn't just about physical strength, it's about unity and resolve. The moment humanity realizes its true potential is the moment you become a target. You were never meant to know until now. Maria's mind raced. And now? What do we do? Now, you have a choice, Kane replied. We can work together to develop new technology, new strategies, and new alliances. But time is running out. The aliens are already on their way. They will arrive in Earth's orbit within weeks, and they will test you to see if your species has the fortitude to survive. We can give you the tools to fight back, but you will need to rise to the occasion. Kane's image flickered for a moment, and then another voice, a woman's, joined in. Her appearance was equally cryptic, her face partially obscured by a hood, but her eyes were bright with an unspoken intensity. We have a weapon, she said, her tone low and urgent. Not a physical weapon, but something more powerful. The aliens cannot calculate what they cannot understand, and we've developed something that can disrupt their technology. It's based on a concept the aliens have never encountered, human intuition. The thing they fear most. The transmission cut off abruptly, and Maria was left in stunned silence. She had just witnessed proof of something far more incredible than any of her scientific discoveries. There was a hidden resistance on Earth, a network of fighters and scientists who had been preparing for this moment. And they had developed a weapon against the alien invaders, not a weapon of firepower, but one of human will and ingenuity. Maria stood up, her mind swirling with possibilities. The stakes had just escalated. Humanity was on the brink of extinction, but it was not without hope. The resistance had the knowledge and technology to help Earth fight back, if humanity could unite and trust in their unexpected allies. But the question now was, would humanity's fragmented world come together in time to defend itself from the coming alien onslaught? Would they rise to the challenge of the aliens' test, or would they falter, as so many others before them? The answer lay in the hands of the people, and time was running out. The next few days were a blur of activity as the global leaders, military commanders, and scientists scrambled to process the astonishing revelation that humanity had allies in the stars, those who had been fighting against the very same alien invaders in secret for years. The existence of the resistance, the development of new technology, and the promise of a weapon that could defeat the aliens sparked a renewed sense of urgency. The key question now was, could humanity unite in time to defend itself? Dr. Maria Carter, now thrust into the heart of the resistance movement, had little time to process the implications of this new alliance. She found herself in constant communication with General Alexander Kane, the mysterious woman who had spoken of the weapon, known only as Astra. They had promised to share their knowledge, but humanity's fractured state made the process incredibly difficult. There were still so many unanswered questions. Could the weapon truly work? Would humanity be able to overcome its deep divisions to use it? But one thing was certain, the clock was ticking. Maria was ushered into a covert meeting with leaders from the world's major powers. The summit, held in an undisclosed location deep underground, was a tense affair. No one knew who they could trust, and every moment felt like it might be their last. World leaders were divided, some still advocated for an aggressive stance, while others argued for unity with the resistance. The situation had grown so dire that for the first time, there seemed to be a glimmer of true cooperation. We cannot afford to ignore the resistance, General Kane's voice echoed across the meeting room, the holographic display showing his weathered face on a screen. They have the knowledge we need to survive. Without them, we may never get a chance to face the alien fleet head-on. You're asking us to trust a shadow faction of humans who've been operating in secrecy for decades, a stern voice from China's military representative challenged. How do we know their motives aren't aligned with the aliens? How do we know we're not walking into a trap? It's your choice, Kane responded coolly. You can continue to isolate yourselves and face the consequences, or you can join us and fight for humanity's future. We've been fighting this war on multiple fronts for years, now it's your turn. The room fell silent. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on the leaders. The alien fleet was still weeks away, but every day without a coordinated response felt like another step toward defeat. We don't have time to be divided, Maria interjected, standing up from her seat. We have a unique advantage here. The aliens may be technologically superior, but they've never encountered humanity's ingenuity, our drive to survive. We've been tested on Earth time and time again, and we've always come out stronger. Now, we have a weapon, one we've never fully understood, yet. We have the chance to turn this around, but only if we're willing to trust one another. The leaders looked at each other, the weight of Maria's words settling in. They had to make a choice. And they had to make it now. Hours passed as strategy meetings and intense discussions unfolded. In the end, a fragile agreement was reached. The world would unite under a single banner, working with the Resistance to prepare for the alien invasion. The Resistance, led by Kane and Astra, would share their technology, but humanity would take charge of its own defense. With this tenuous alliance forged, Maria was introduced to the core of the Resistance's weapon, something known only as the Conduit. Astra, the mysterious woman who had spoken in the previous transmission, was a key figure in the development of this weapon. She arrived at the meeting, her face now fully visible for the first time. She was a woman in her early 40s, with short-cropped hair and a presence that seemed to command respect. The Conduit is not a weapon of destruction, at least not in the traditional sense, Astra explained, as a holographic display flickered to life, showing a series of complex, almost otherworldly devices. It works by disrupting the core systems of the alien fleet's technology, specifically, their communications and weapons systems. The aliens rely on an interconnected network, and the Conduit can sever that link, rendering their ships helpless. Maria leaned forward, her heart pounding. You're saying we can stop their ships from functioning? Astra nodded. In theory, yes. The Conduit uses a form of human-derived quantum resonance. It taps into frequencies the aliens have never encountered, frequencies that can destabilize their systems. But it's not foolproof. We've never tested it on an alien fleet this large, and there's no way to know for certain how they'll react. Maria frowned. Then why risk it? Why not just focus on conventional weapons? Because conventional weapons won't work, Astra said, her voice firm. The aliens are too advanced. If we fight them with force alone, we'll be wiped out before we even have a chance to make a dent. The Conduit is our best hope. Maria glanced around the room at the assembled leaders. There was no turning back now. The world was united under one banner, and humanity had placed its faith in a weapon that was as mysterious as it was powerful. Whether it would succeed or fail, only time would tell. But one thing was certain, humanity's fight for survival had just entered a new, unknown phase. It was no longer just about defending the planet. It was about proving that Earth had something the aliens could never take, the indomitable spirit of humankind. As the meeting concluded, Maria stepped out into the corridor, her mind spinning with the gravity of what was to come. They were preparing for the final confrontation, and there was no turning back. The aliens were coming, and humanity's answer would be its greatest test. But would they rise to the challenge, or would they fall like so many civilizations before them? The countdown had begun. The days after the summit were filled with intense preparation. Humanity, now united under the banner of the Resistance and the world's military forces, had little time to lose. Across the globe, the construction of the Conduit began in secret, shrouded in tight security. Hidden away in underground bunkers, massive facilities, and orbiting space stations, teams of scientists and engineers worked together in a race against time. Maria Carter found herself at the heart of this operation, overseeing the integration of Earth's technology with the advanced alien technology provided by the Resistance. Astra, the enigmatic scientist who had helped develop the conduit, worked alongside her, her sharp mind constantly seeking ways to improve the weapon. Despite the urgency, there was a calm precision in Astra's work, something Maria had come to rely on as the weeks ticked by. Meanwhile, world governments began to prepare for the worst. Militaries were on high alert, and cities began stockpiling supplies, ready for the potential fallout of an alien invasion. Military leaders organized joint exercises and drilled their forces on the use of the conduit's disruptive capabilities. The weapon would be humanity's first, and potentially only, chance to defend itself against the invaders. But despite the preparations, an undercurrent of doubt lingered in Maria's mind. The conduit's power was still largely theoretical. No one had ever tested it on the scale they were about to face. What if it didn't work? What if the aliens adapted to it? The fate of Earth rested on this one fragile hope. As the days drew nearer to the alien fleet's predicted arrival, Maria received an encrypted transmission from General Kane. "Dr. Carter, we've intercepted new communications from the aliens." Kane's voice crackled over the comm. "It seems the fleet is advancing faster than we thought. We now have confirmation that they'll enter Earth's orbit in less than 2 weeks. The time for preparation is running out." Maria took a deep breath. The countdown was now in full swing. Every hour mattered. The night before the aliens were scheduled to arrive, Maria and the team completed the final test of the conduit. The weapon had been assembled in a hidden facility on Earth's moon, far from prying eyes and ready to strike at the moment's notice. The test would be conducted on a smaller, unmanned alien vessel, one that had been captured during an earlier skirmish between the Resistance and the invaders. The conduit was designed to release a specific frequency, an artificial quantum resonance, into the alien vessel's core systems. The test was simple: would the alien technology break down? Or would the weapon fail? In the dimly lit command room, Maria stood alongside Astra, watching the holodisplay as engineers made final adjustments to the machine. The alien ship, a sleek, intimidating craft, stood motionless in the center of the room. With its dark metallic surface and smooth, angular design, it seemed almost alive, a reminder of the alien invaders' terrifying advancement. "Are we ready?" Maria asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Astra nodded, her eyes fixed on the ship. "Ready as we'll ever be." Maria gave the command. The room fell into eerie silence as the hum of the device filled the air. A pulse of energy erupted from the conduit, sending ripples through the alien vessel's systems. At first, there was nothing. Then, the ship's lights flickered. A low mechanical groan reverberated through the room. And then, nothing. The alien ship powered down completely, its systems frozen, lifeless. Astra exhaled sharply. It worked. Maria let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. It really worked. But just as the team began to celebrate, a deep rumble echoed through the facility. The lights flickered. A red alert flashed across the screens. Something was wrong. "Report!" Maria shouted, her pulse quickening. The technician's voice trembled through the comm. "It's the conduit. It's affecting us too. We're experiencing systems failures. The conduit's frequency is too strong. It's destabilizing our own power grid." Maria's heart sank. The alien ship had powered down, but the weapon's resonance was also causing unforeseen damage to their own systems. Astra rushed to a console, her fingers flying over the controls. "We need to recalibrate the conduit's output immediately. If we don't, we'll lose our own systems before the aliens even arrive." The room fell into a frantic rush of activity as they scrambled to contain the fallout. They couldn't afford a failure now, not when the alien fleet was almost on their doorstep. But the damage was becoming more evident. The weapon's power was too potent, too volatile. it was clear they would have to make adjustments before it could be deployed on a larger scale. Hours later, after several tense moments of recalibration, the conduit was stable again. But Maria's confidence had been shaken. She knew the aliens would not make the same mistake again. They would adapt, and humanity's one shot at survival had just revealed its weaknesses. The following days passed in a blur as the alien fleet made its final approach. A sense of finality loomed in the air, as the world's military forces gathered in Earth's orbit, prepared to defend the planet. The conduit, now fully operational, was mounted on Earth's space stations, ready to be used in the imminent battle. Maria stood on a quiet balcony of the Resistance's headquarters, staring out into the star-filled sky. The alien fleet was still a few days away, but she could feel the impending clash. The world had done everything it could, but now, it was a matter of trust in the weapon, trust in humanity's unity, and trust in their ability to overcome a foe that was far more advanced. The test was over. The real battle was about to begin. As the countdown to the alien fleet's arrival reached its final hours, humanity's last hope stood ready. The fate of the world would soon be decided, and the question remained, would the conduit succeed in stopping the aliens? Or would humanity's last-ditch effort fall short, leaving Earth to face its greatest test yet? Maria looked at the sky one last time, feeling the weight of what was to come. The future of humanity rested on their answer. The tension in Earth's orbit was palpable. The alien fleet, vast and imposing, loomed just beyond the horizon, its arrival imminent. On the planet's surface, every major military base, every defense network, and every satellite was focused on the threat in the sky. Humanity's fragile alliance had come together, but now they faced their greatest trial, one that would test everything they had prepared for, and more. The conduit was positioned at key points, aboard Earth's space stations, integrated into military satellites, and hidden within the heart of every major defense grid. It was humanity's last line of defense, and the Resistance, led by General Kane and Astra, had done everything they could to perfect it. But no one could shake the lingering doubt, would it be enough? The conduit had worked on a small alien vessel, but the entire fleet was something far greater. In a hidden bunker beneath the moon's surface, Maria Carter and Astra sat together, staring at the holodisplay showing the alien fleet's trajectory. It was a display of unimaginable scale, hundreds of ships, each one more powerful than anything humanity had ever encountered. The fleet was massive, far beyond anything the Resistance had faced before. Their sensors picked up the first signs of the invaders' approach. They had entered Earth's orbit. "Ready?" Astra asked, her voice low but steady. Maria didn't answer immediately. She was deep in thought, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "I don't know," she said honestly, her eyes fixed on the approaching alien fleet. "But we have to be." Astra's eyes softened with understanding. "It's not just the conduit. We've seen it, humanity's strength. We've seen the way you fight. The aliens didn't count on that. If we win, it's because of your resilience, not just technology." Maria nodded slowly. She had heard Astra's words many times now, but they had never felt more significant. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its technology, but in its ability to unite when everything seemed lost. To push back against impossible odds. As they prepared for the confrontation, an encrypted transmission arrived. It was General Kane. "The fleet is here," he said tersely. "The conduit is our only chance. We'll initiate the first strike from Earth's orbit. Stand by to deploy." The Resistance had one shot at this. The alien ships, with their sleek, unyielding designs, filled the sky, casting a long shadow over the planet below. Earth's defenses, a mix of old and new technologies, readied themselves. Humanity was outgunned, outclassed in terms of raw firepower, but they had something the aliens didn't, the conduit and the will to fight for their home. As the alien fleet positioned itself above Earth's atmosphere, the first wave of defense systems powered up. Satellites, rockets, and laser arrays activated, and the airspace around Earth became a flurry of activity. But the alien ships didn't flinch. Instead, they deployed their own weapons, massive energy blasts that crackled with destructive power. The ground trembled as Earth's defenses were hit, but humanity fought back. The first attack from Earth's forces was fired directly at one of the alien vessels. For a moment, it seemed to shimmer, as if unaffected by the blast. But then the conduit systems across Earth's space stations flared to life. The weapon's resonance was activated, sending a pulse through the aliens' communication network. At first, nothing happened. But then, the alien ship began to vibrate. Lights flickered. The energy blast stopped mid-flight. And the ship, once so powerful, shuddered before falling completely silent. "It's working!" Maria exclaimed, her heart racing. "It's really working!" But the victory was short-lived. Suddenly, a massive surge of energy rippled from the alien fleet. A huge wave of red lightning shot across the sky, smashing into the Earth's orbital defenses. The conduit systems flickered, struggling to stay stable against the alien counterattack. "What was that?" Maria asked, panic creeping into her voice. Astra's face was grim. "The aliens have adapted. They've seen what we're doing, and they're using a counter-frequency. We've underestimated them." The first wave of the alien fleet was still reeling from the conduit's effects, but the larger force was now aware of what was happening. The aliens were learning quickly, and their response was more powerful than anyone had anticipated. Earth's defenses were weakening. General Kane's voice crackled over the comms again. "We can't hold out much longer. The alien fleet is starting to overwhelm us. We need to activate the conduit's full potential, every satellite, every defense station. Do it now." Maria's pulse quickened. The plan had always been to release the conduit's full power, but no one had fully anticipated the aliens' ability to adapt this quickly. If they were going to survive, they needed to find a way to break the aliens' counter-frequency and push through before it was too late. Astra's voice cut through the panic. "I have an idea. We need to synchronize the conduit's resonance across all stations. If we align it perfectly, we can send a focused pulse directly to the heart of the fleet." "But can we?" Maria asked, doubt clouding her thoughts. "It's a massive risk. If we don't synchronize it right, we could destroy everything." "We don't have a choice," Astra said. "We either take the risk and win, or we lose everything." Maria didn't hesitate. "Do it." The resistance and military teams scrambled into action, working frantically to synchronize the systems. Every satellite, every defense station was aligned to channel the resonance of the conduit at full power. It was a colossal effort, one that would either save humanity or lead to their annihilation. As the final adjustments were made, Maria held her breath. The alien fleet was descending fast. Their weapons were ready to fire. But so was humanity's final, desperate counterattack. A pulse of energy shot out from Earth's orbital stations, spiraling toward the heart of the alien fleet. The aliens had no time to react. The conduit's resonance slammed into their core systems, and for a split second, the universe held its breath. Then, total silence. The alien fleet began to break apart. One by one, the massive ships fell from the sky, their systems completely disabled. The counter-frequency had failed, and the conduit had won. But as Maria watched, a shadow crossed her face. This victory, though monumental, had come at a great cost. The fight was far from over. Humanity had survived. But the battle for the future was just beginning. The devastation from the battle was still visible as Maria gazed out across Earth's sky. The remnants of the alien fleet hung in orbit like scattered debris, their once pristine ships now mere shells of their former selves. Earth had won the battle, but the war was far from over. As the alien ships fell silent, humanity's defenders let out a collective breath, their eyes wide with disbelief. The conduit had worked. They had survived. But it had been a close call, closer than anyone had anticipated. Maria stood in the command center, still reeling from the final moments of the confrontation. The conduit had delivered the decisive blow, severing the alien fleet's central control systems and neutralizing their ability to fight back. But in doing so, it had drained Earth's resources to the breaking point. Systems across the globe had gone offline, and countless satellites had been rendered inoperable. The victory had come at the expense of humanity's technological infrastructure. General Kane entered the room, his face drawn but resolute. His eyes met Maria's, a silent understanding passing between them. They had done it. Earth had held the line. But there was much work to do. Dr. Carter, the aliens are gone, for now. But we can't rest. They'll be back, and next time, they'll be better prepared. We need to rebuild, reinforce, and prepare for whatever comes next. Maria nodded. I know. But we've learned something important today. We may not have their technology, but we have something they never expected, our determination, our unity. That's what won us this battle. Kane gave her a sharp nod, then turned to look out at the quiet, starry sky. Humanity is resilient. We've faced extinction before and survived. And now, we know we can fight back against the darkness. The war isn't over, but we've just proven that we're not just survivors. We're fighters. In the days that followed, Earth began the long process of recovery. Scientists worked tirelessly to repair damaged systems and rebuild the conduit's infrastructure, while the military focused on defending key strategic points and ensuring no alien remnants remained. It was clear that humanity had won a pivotal battle, but the larger conflict loomed ever closer. The Resistance, now fully integrated into the world's governments and military, helped guide the restoration efforts. Astra and her fellow operatives became crucial leaders in the fight to rebuild and fortify the Earth's defenses. Their knowledge of alien technology, once a secret, was now an invaluable asset to human survival. Maria continued her work, leading teams of scientists to refine the conduit, hoping to avoid any future failures. She couldn't shake the feeling that the aliens were out there, watching, waiting for humanity to let its guard down. They wouldn't stop until they had wiped out every last trace of resistance. Astra approached her one day, her expression somber yet hopeful. Maria, we've learned a great deal from this victory. But we must prepare for the worst. The aliens won't give up easily. They'll adapt, just as we've learned to adapt. And they won't be underestimating us next time. Maria glanced at her, understanding the weight of her words. I know. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us next. But we've done something they never expected. We've shown them that humanity can fight back, and we've proven that we can win. Astra smiled, a flicker of hope crossing her face. That's why they'll never stop. And that's why we can never stop either. Months passed, and humanity began to rebuild its fractured world. Cities, once ravaged by the alien invasion, now began to rise from the ashes. The scars of the war were still fresh, but there was a new sense of purpose, a renewed sense of pride. General Kane addressed the United Nations in a broadcast that reached every corner of the globe. His voice was strong, resonant with the pride of a people who had stood together against an unstoppable force. We stand on the threshold of a new era, an era of hope and unity. Today, humanity has proved that we are more than just survivors. We are the inheritors of this planet, and we will not bow to any invader, no matter how powerful. This victory is ours, but it is only the beginning. We will prepare for the battles ahead. We will stand together, as one, and we will never give up. As he spoke, Maria stood among the crowd, watching the faces of people from every nation. The war was far from over, but humanity had earned something precious: time. Time to heal, time to grow, and time to prepare for whatever came next. And for the first time since the invasion began, she allowed herself to believe that they might just be able to overcome the darkness. In the quiet moments of reflection, Maria often found herself standing at the window of her lab, staring out into the cosmos. She thought about all they had endured, all they had lost, and all they had gained. The battle with the aliens had been brutal, and many lives had been lost. But in the end, they had not been defeated. As Earth prepared for whatever the future held, Maria knew one thing for certain: humanity would never be the same. They had faced extinction and emerged victorious, but the scars of war would shape them in ways they could never undo. And with that, she realized, the true strength of humanity wasn't just in their ability to fight, it was in their unyielding spirit to rise again, no matter how many times they were knocked down. Humanity had won the first battle in an intergalactic war, but more challenges awaited. The question now was not whether they could survive, but how far they would go to ensure their place in the universe. The dawn of a new era had begun. And with it, humanity's answer had been made clear. They would never give up. They would never surrender. They would fight, and they would win.